Greetings, gamers! Some of you may have already heard, but in Wizard101's most recent Test Realm update, a new questline was added to introduce what is presumably the next world, Lemuria. While the questline does include some interesting lore bits, it also discusses a ton of philosophy. I personally am a bit of a philosophy nerd, so I thought I'd make a video here going in detail on some of the bigger philosophical concepts, and more importantly, what they might mean for the future of the game. Let's dive in. In the questline, we help the Old One, a creature who is claimed to have written all of history, search for clues about a world called Lemuria. According to Bartleby, Lemuria no longer exists, or at least has been ripped from existence. After some running around in Mirage, we do eventually find a mosaic depicting lemurs from Lemuria. The lemurs surround or possibly are worshipping the Old One, and after some incredibly strange dialogue from the Old One, he mentions that he can't sustain his presence for much longer, and that we must find Lemuria. Finally, the Old One fades away and the questline ends. Let's go back and break down this dialogue. Firstly, we know that this figure isn't actually the Old One, but rather a projection or illusion. In the dialogue, when the projection is describing the events at the end of Caramel, Wizard101's last world released in 2020, it says,
"It felt hurt, then you left. The Old One was
okay,
left.
yeah, he's straight up not talking about
sifted,
himself.
learned, and became."
This rules out the possibility of the projection being the Old One or the Wizard, and the only other thing present in the cavity was the paradox, or nothing. So, we can assume that nothing is speaking here, through an illusion of the Old One. This is further confirmed by the line,
My head. There is nobody there. No Old One, nobody, nothing.
Nothing? I know that word too. So many of them. Words. I forget them. But the tree, she called me that. She called me nothing.
which attests that the speaker is indeed nothing. Now is where things get really wacky. In the beginning of this monologue, nothing appears to be describing the creation of the universe. There was no form or substance, no existence until the creation of the wizard. The wizard's existence defines nothing's existence, as nothing can only be defined through the existence of something. Nothing calls the existence of something in nothing a paradox. This is similar to the philosophical idea that creation ex nihilo, or the creation of matter from nothing, if any of you are familiar with that, is to our knowledge impossible. It's a paradox, a contradiction of reality. Nothing then describes that it started creating cavities, like what we saw in Caramel, to seek out the everything, or the wizard. Because the wizard represents light and shadow combined, or literally all of existence in the spiral, the wizard is able to satisfy the need nothing has. And, in fact, nothing states that it
Felt hurt.
in the presence of the wizard, it was able to feel. And because of that feeling, it was able to gleam, sift, learn, and become. The nothing projects itself in the form of the Old One in order to find the wizard and bring the wizard to Lemuria for some undisclosed reason. But there's one final line of dialogue that throws a massive philosophical wrench in our plans.
Get back here.
Aw.
Forget it.
Yeah, the mosaic
So,
really
the
is something. It's a
something,
real work of art over
A
there.
depiction of a popular legend. They call him Architect. Demiurge.
Oh, so the depiction is of the Old One. Being familiar with Sam Johnson's work, Mrs. Viper's word choice for names of the Old One is probably incredibly intentional. These all seem like random words for a being of great power, but they actually all have very intentional and distinct philosophical meaning. The second term, demiurge, is a concept of God that has existed since the early AD in two main forms. The first form is tied to the idea of the architect, also mentioned here. This form, which exists in Platonic philosophy as started by Plato, uses the demiurge as the name for the creator of the material world, a being who seeks for everything to be as good as possible. This position is distinctly intelligent and design-focused, linking it to the architect name. However, the second form is where things get interesting. The word demiurge originally stems from the Gnostic cults of early AD. Gnosticism is basically talked about by no one nowadays and is exceedingly confusing, but I'll try to parse out the important parts here. The Gnostics believed that the world could be divided into two distinct parts: the spiritual, created by the good supreme being, and the material, created by the demiurge, a lesser being to the supreme being that wanted to create evil through material needs. If we were to take the Old One, or the Demiurge, as the legitimate writer of history, this would line up with his role as the Demiurge. He could be the creator of the physical world, the legitimate writer of history as the Cabal claims. But this leaves a huge lingering question. If there's a demiurge, who's the supreme being? Sam Johnson has mentioned that there is in fact a creator of Raven, Spider, and Bartleby who could be considered the spiritual aspects of the spiral. So, in fact, Arcs 4 or 5 could be leading to the reveal of the Supreme Being, the true creator of the spiral. Either way, there's definitely some very interesting lore coming up for the game, and I'm really excited to see where the game goes from here. Seriously guys, some of these lines of dialogue are William Faulkner levels of confusing. Great job, King's Isle, as always. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more epic gamer content. I'm happy to chat more in the comments below, and if there's any other part of Wiz lore you'd like to see me take a deep dive on, be sure to leave it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and have a toontastic day.